So I want to buy a board today, and I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. I'm just sitting on my board right now. I wanted to be outside. So long story short, I'm back on YouTube just to collect my check and go snowboarding. To be honest, I'm not even kidding right now. So a lot of you guys know me from Depop, and I got banned on Depop because I was in the process of moving and I was taking too long, but everyone got refunded who didn't get their things, but most people did. I put myself into debt buying clothes. So it's kind of like the saying, don't get high on your own supply. Yeah, I did that. I've never told anyone this except like people close to me. I came here with zero plan. I didn't even know I was moving here till like May. I was just telling people like, oh yeah, I'm moving here. No clue I was actually moving here. Came here with zero plan, no job, no house. Like, I was just on a whim. It was just the money I made off Depop and DoorDash and Vibes. I also worked at McDonald's. I told no one about that because it was a temporary job, but they make really good money in the mainland. I'm really grateful to have a place to stay, food to eat, and you know, some income coming in. Definitely, especially now. Like I'm doing so well. But there was this point in like late June, early July. It was like the worst time of my life. Like literally that's my lowest point. Like every time someone asks me like, what's your lowest point? I reference late June, early July of this year while I was living here. Because literally in the span of 24 hours, I was like so broke from my job. I only had one job at the time. Like right now I have three. I was scratching pennies basically to eat and to just do anything like I wanted to do. And I was falling out with friends and I was falling out with my family that wasn't even here. And people I was fucking with really heavy just up and left me. They up and like disappeared. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, oh my God. It was kind of funny at first. I guess it was trying to cope with it. But oh my God, like it was so bad. I had no clue what to do. And like obviously like, you know, only fucking thing you can do is cry and then go to sleep. So that's exactly what I did. I cried and I went to fucking sleep. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way anything can get worse. There was no way anything can get worse. There was nothing worse than what happened to me those days. And I don't think I ever fully recovered from it because I still hold resentment for that day. At the same time, nobody knew what I was going through. No one knew that that happened to me. So I was just going through it by myself. All that shit that happened in the span of 24 hours. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, dude, I can get through anything if I got through that day. Like that day does not compare to anything in my life. That was like a really scary day, to be honest. But like as of recent, like I've been really reclusive. I don't like to talk too much. I don't like to answer anything. I've missed out on so many sponsorships, opportunities, like deals, hangouts, like literally because I don't respond to anything. And it's not me being an asshole. Like it comes off that way. And I understand it does. But it's literally just me taking the time to reply to things and running out of time. Luckily for me, I have people in my circle who like understand why it takes me like 3 or 4 weeks to respond to something. And like they'll call me out, like as they should. They're like, yo, like why are you responding to this? Like I sent that to you like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And honestly, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago was 2 days ago. I don't know why I work like that, but I have no sense of time frame in my head. That's like a weird way to be self-aware. Like that's toxically self-aware. Now that I think about it, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Like I know I didn't answer this text message for a long period of time. Let's hang out, and if we can't hang out, let's FaceTime, because we can FaceTime, you know, later on or whatever. But like a simple like yes or no would have sufficed. But for some reason, I've convinced myself that I can't. That's not good enough. So I might as well just not reply. I don't know how that makes sense to me, but it does, like for me personally. Replying is getting so exhausting to me. Like even if I initiate, like I don't know what my problem is. And I'm really lucky to have like low maintenance friendships. Like my friends are like, dude, reply on your own time. We'll hang out, go to a fast food place, no fancy dinners or nothing. So, I don't know. But my love language is acts of service. So like hanging out and things like that is beneficial to me. But maybe I should understand my friends' love languages too. Yeah, I need to do that. I struggle like pretty hard with initiating conversation, initiating hangouts with people, and it's literally taking a toll on all my relationships, especially this year. Like, it comes across as like I don't care to be around them, but really I'm just really scared, I guess. And I think that stems from failed just relationships in general that I had. No, it stems from a specific, that was a bee, almost fanned away. Okay. It stems from like a relationship I had November, December, January, around that time frame, earlier this year, late last year. And I developed this fear of rejection of people that literally know me and have hung out with me many, many times. Like, I don't know why I'm like that still, but I'm slowly working on it, and I'm initiating more often. Like, I'm hanging out with one of my friends today after this video, but for some reason I still struggle with that. But like, I'm a weirdo. Like, I think rejection is so hilarious, especially when it happens to me. No, only when it happens to me it's funny. I also realize that it comes off, me not initiating anything comes off as egotistical and prideful. Even when I really, really want to hang out with people and talk to them, but that's not the case. And I have no ego. My ego died in like January, and I have zero pride. Like, I'll say what I need to say, right? I have this thing in like all my relationships, like platonically and romantically, like I've always thought like, oh, like it doesn't matter how many times this person hangs out with me, how much they reassure me physically and like mentally and verbally, I still think I'm annoying as fuck to them. I still think that they don't want to be around me, and they're thinking in their head, this is the last time I hang out with this bitch. Like, what? Why would I want to be around her? So it's a never-ending cycle. Like, and I realize when I take forever to reply to things, that also comes off as really petty and intentionally, but I am never petty. Like, I can't even recall the last time I was honestly petty. I have not been at all this year, and I try to stay away from being petty, but I understand it comes off that way, and I try to correct it as much as possible. I have this saying I like to go by, that when pettiness starts, trust ends, and game gets game and real gets real. So if you start off in a relationship and you're building a relationship off of game, it's never going to be real, because all you know is the game. So I try to stay away from being petty as much as possible, and I try to stay away from dishonesty, because I know that once you have a lack of trust, the relationship is gonna fucking fail. It's gonna fail. Like, I don't know how else to put that. There's little to no chance to redeem it. Like, you can, but it's gonna be a little bit hard. I think a lot of bridges I burned this year, especially recently, the bridges I burned recently with people I cared about was due to a lack of communication and a lack of clear intention. I think my recent like reclusiveness, to add to the reclusiveness and where it stems from, I've lost a lot of friendships and relationships in general this past 2 years, especially this year. But I've also made a lot of relationships and built a lot of relationships as well. I don't like temporary happiness. I don't like cheap thrills. I don't like temporary relationships. Like, when I choose to be close to someone and when I try my best to put my guard down, it's because I want them around for a while. It's not like, you know, I'm like, oh, this would be great for the time being, and when I'm done with you, see you later. Like, I don't think like, but I've gained more than I've lost. Like, I've stopped going to a lot of events due to loneliness and false perceptions. Like, when I walk into like parties or like, you know, like really big get-togethers. And luckily I've been invited to some really great things this year, and I don't want to stop being invited. Like I love being invited and I'll still go, but sometimes when I'm in a room full of people, I feel so alone, to be honest. Like it's kind of hard to admit, but it's so weird how that works, how you can be in a room full of people and still feel alone. So I got invited to this Instagram party on New Year's where it was literally just like models and photographers and filmmakers and YouTubers and things like that, and like, you know, like people too, like they invite. And I was so hyped because it was my first ever event, right? And a lot of these people knew me through social media, and you know, social media has like a bunch of different perceptions placed on you, and you show what you want people to see. It's not, you know, your everyday life. It's only what you allow yourself to be perceived as, and it's taken for interpretation. I didn't like how it was interpreted, or at least it wasn't bad. I remember thinking to myself, like, many times when I meet people first through social media and then they get to know me, I feel like I disappoint them in terms of what their standards are or their expectations are of who I am. It's almost like when people meet me, they're like, oh, your Instagram is so cool, and then I keep talking and I keep talking, and they're like, oh, or at least it feels that way. I don't know if it's actually that way, but it's also like, why would you want to meet the standard of people's perceptions of you? I'm aware of this. I'm aware that you don't need to, and you could just say, fuck you, I'm gonna be me. But it happens so much for me because, like, you know, like, it's kind of like my form of income. Like, social media is kind of my job, so people expect certain things from me, and I'm a people pleaser, like I said, so I try my best to fit the perception but also be myself. Like, nobody knows I dress like Mark Zuckerberg in my free time. Like, nobody, like, I don't even like clothes like that unless it's on me. Like, I don't care what other people wear. Buying clothes and like being interested in fashion for me is just a way to cope with something like this, to cope with issues around me. It's not even for anything other than that. I just like fashion, but I like it regarding myself. I don't care what other people are doing. Like, wear what you want to wear. Like, it's whatever. It's fucking hot, so I'm out of here. This Jabberwockies t-shirt I got for $1 at the Goodwill bins, searching through them. This is my favorite thing in my whole room. Besides this will probably be my skateboard and this Bluetooth mic right here. These are my prized possessions. I'm not kidding. Out of all the really nice things I own, those are my favorite things. And I think I'm usually perceived as really bougie and stuck up, and like, I'm just not like other girls. Like, I'm just quirky. Like, girls who skateboards like me, like who goes fishing and who loves sports like me. I was really upset about a relationship that ended kind of recently. I was upset because of perception, mostly. I mean, there was other underlying issues, but mainly for me, I was upset because of how I was perceived. I felt like their perception of me was permanently attached to me. I felt like no matter what I did or what I said, I couldn't change their perception of me. And if anything, me continuing to talk to them was just making their perception of me worse. Like, it was adding more perceptions to me. And it started to get to a point where I questioned, oh, am I actually like that? And it was manifesting in my own personality. I had to make a decision based off of there was other issues on why I made the decision, but I had to distance myself from them, and it just became like, I guess you could say it was a mutual cutoff. I don't know. I truly don't know about that one, but I was really sad because I wanted to be perceived in the way that I actually was, that I knew I was, but I couldn't please that person. I couldn't make them see my value and my worth, but it hurts so much because I really wanted that relationship to work, and it was just a potential thing. So I guess I'm kind of stuck on the potential of it too. But I was so hurt by it, like so hurt by it. It's crazy, but I never talk about it. Like I never talk about it because it kind of seems crazy to be stuck on issues from a relationship that wasn't fully formed. I made that clear to them that I wasn't going to force it. Like, it is what it is, and I'm not down to force anything in my life right now. But how funny is it that when you decide not to force things, it comes off as, it can be perceived as not caring. But I definitely cared. I was so hurt by it. I was so hurt that they couldn't be in my life the way I wanted it to be, because I genuinely like their vibe. But I guess that's life. As much as I hate that saying, that's life, I guess. Like, I wanted it to flow naturally, and I definitely cared about it. I cried about it a lot. I cried about it so much. But I was hurt. I was genuinely hurt. I was hurt because I felt like there was potential in something. But, you know, it's relationships, in all cases, building them and destroying them is a two-way street. So it's an equal 50-50. And I'll admit that sometimes I didn't show up on that 50-50. Sometimes I gave too much and sometimes I gave too less. I believe that relationships timing is everything. Like, you both have to want the relationship the same way, at the same exact time, with the same amount of effort. And maybe that sounds hard on paper, but when it's natural and when it flows, it's pretty easy. I'm always down to rekindle relationships, or even just come to an understanding without rekindling the relationship. But that also is a two-way street. You both have to want that equally. I can't force anyone to rebuild a relationship with me. I think one of my toxic traits is cutting people off too quick. I don't think I've ever cut the wrong people off, but I do cut people off way too quick, and it's due to me just trying to maintain peace and keep myself from getting hurt. And I feel like, not all the time, but 5 times out of 10, when someone's toxic, it's their own way. This is a bad explanation. I'm not saying tolerate. Disrespect is the closure, but I feel like some of the times when someone's toxic, it's to protect themselves from something, but it's their own way of showing it, and it's just all they know how to do. I think I'm really quick on cutting people off romantically, way more than platonically. And I think that also comes from, like, I don't like to romantically be involved with like 2 or 3 people in a year. I'll deal with one, and if that doesn't work out, like, I will be by myself. Like, I'll go, like, let's go skate or something. I can't keep asking someone what their favorite color is, and if their favorite food is mac and cheese. I can't do romantic attention. Doesn't satisfy me. It's like, I don't really need it. I don't crave it. But if it comes from the right person, and it comes from someone I'm romantically involved with, of course, that's the person I want to get that attention from. Other than that, I don't like to deal with people romantically at all. If you take anything from this video, I hope it's that you trust in divine timing. I carry divine timing with me in all my relationships. I believe that everything will happen at the right time, and not necessarily that everything happens for a reason, or that there's no such thing as bad timing, but you can definitely mess up your timing. I think it's important to remember that the universe is working for you and with you, and not against you. And I think that's the best way to go about dealing with a situation that leaves you hurt and overthinking, for sure. And you know, when this video ends, I'm probably gonna take 3 more L's today, and over the course of the week, and over the course of the month and the year. But I'm gonna go now because I want to go skate, and I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go do that. You're definitely not alone, and you're definitely in the right place at the right time. Even after I made this video, like, even now, like, I'm still not over a bunch of shit, but I'm gonna go skate it off.